What comes to mind is like the CoinJoin kind of stuff. I mean, and a bit personal, but I just redid all my passwords. Um, and I've actually had real bad password security kind of thing before, dude. Like, well, the last time I only just redid my passwords as well. From the last time this book that I wrote all my passwords in got stolen. Which is real fucking, oh, sorry for swearing, real scary. Like, I obviously told somebody way too much information. And they came into my room and took this specific book out of all the other books. Thinking about it now, it's kind of obvious, and it would have just been like on the table or something. CoinJoin stuff or state of buying BTC in New Zealand. Yeah, that's what I was starting to talk about. I think CoinJoin stuff. Yeah, that's right. And the state of buying BTC in New Zealand. Yeah, so you're not from New Zealand, but what do you mean by the state of it? But yeah, so with CoinJoin stuff, that has been quite the topic in the Telegram group. And well, I mean, that's what you do to try and make it real private, supposedly. Apart from, I think there's like, I haven't done it before, but I got my ears open a bit. What I heard today was it's real bad to be linked to any kind of site like that, and it's much better just to create a new wallet. The terminology is not called wallets though. That's like a real layman's term, like wallets. It's like your keys, whatever. But you do it with using Tor, like the Onion network, Tor. So it's like super private. That's how you create you go to a site and open up your new wallet using that. But you open up like at least like 3 or 4 wallets, and you put the Bitcoin through each of those wallets to give you a degree of separation from the original wallet, because the original wallet that can be tainted. Like the original wallet could possibly be KYC to you, but the next wallet, bit harder, 3 wallets down, it's pretty hard. That could be anybody. So I've heard that's the best thing, really, with trying to make your Bitcoin like clean or whatever, so it's not attached. To make it anonymous, to make your Bitcoin anonymous, so it's not like attached to you. But yeah, the big conversation that's in the group is like and this has buzzed me out. Like, not this part, the UTXO. He's all about like, your UTXO transactions. Yeah, I don't quite get that. I mean, I understand what the UTXO, the unspent transaction output, but like the UTXO transactions and having small UTXO transactions in your account, otherwise you could be subject to higher miner fees later on. But the thing that buzzed me out was he was talking about having in these wallets that you set up, kind of like these private as wallets that you set up, just have like 5 million to 10 million satoshis in the wallet. And I thought that was genius. Like, you set up all these wallets, and like, I mean, these are all your little nest eggs. You got a whole bunch of little nest eggs, and if you use one of those nest eggs, it's set up with just a nice amount in there. For in the future, it could be a good little amount to be spending stuff with. Like 5 million satoshis could be like a great little nest egg. Like, it's not bad now. No, it's like a couple of grand. or at least $1,000. You know, you just set up lots of little wallets with 5 million, 10 million satoshis in them. I think that's a very secure, smart way to be thinking about the future, especially if you do it over Tor. And yeah, maybe doing CoinJoin. The main thing I heard was, in along lines with that, was Tornado Coin. I looked at it, but it's to do with Ethereum, and that got compromised today. So exchanges or whatever that have, like, addresses that have been linked to that website on some exchanges may get blacklisted, which will mean you're not able to maybe move your coins. Sure. CoinJoin stuff. Or state of buying BTC in New Zealand. The state of buying Bitcoin in New Zealand. Okay, so yeah, I mean, most people think you have to buy a whole Bitcoin. That would be the state of it. Fucking so far behind the ball, mate. But I buy it on Binance, the biggest exchange. We try and promote Bisq.network, which is like a peer-to-peer exchange, but there's nothing on there. We've got a peer-to-peer marketplace kind of main one. Well, I mean, I try and do it with the meetups, like we have meetup.com, and we try and do meetups like locally in the area and promote that as like, come and buy $10, $100 worth, whatever you want, and from a person with cash. But yeah, a lot of people will use like kiwicrypto.com, which I don't recommend because it's like in cahoots with the government. So the government, they know everything about what you're buying. So yeah, Discord. So like, there's a peer-to-peer marketplace on Discord. Like NZ Crypto Group. Oh, g'day, mate. You're a bit late. I was inviting you as a speaker. Old middle bell curve here is just listening today, so I was running pretty tight talking to myself, just having a crazy yarn about CoinJoin. Trying to think of CoinJoin in the state of Bitcoin in New Zealand. It's been his question, kind of thing. Wanted me to please join as a speaker and say hello at least, because yeah. Well, I've invited you up to speak. Yeah, if there's something you'd like me to talk about, ask a question, just message me instead of actually speaking. That will be okay. Yeah. I have a thought. What comes to mind is, yeah, speaker. G'day, mate. How's it going?
Trying to set up my permissions for recording on my phone.
Oh, yeah, because it's recording this. Cool.
Oh, awesome to chat to you. Never actually met you in person yet.
Yeah, but you're just an hour south of Auckland.
That's right. Yeah. So
I trip out about it. I was like, isn't that Hamilton?
no, it's
Maybe
halfway
not.
between sort of in the country. So
Yeah,
I'm
cool.
living on my parents' farm at the moment, where we have a cheese making business.
Yeah.
So
Don't want to dox yourself too much, but yeah, I mean, you can. I do. I don't give a shit. But most people are like, they try and be real anonymous.
yeah, yeah. There's I'll be slightly anonymous, but halfway between Auckland and Hamilton, that's sufficient for me.
Yeah, but a cheese farm is there's not going to be many cheese farms in that area, so
There'll be at least two or three.
yeah, totally. Oh, and that brings me on to my point that I was going to bring up before you came up as a speaker. I was going to start talking about wallets because in the last kind of bull run, that was a lot of the questions, kind of like, oh, what's a wallet? Like, have you?
What is a wallet?
And the big,
Oh,
well,
is
there
that
was
the
one
question you're
thing.
asking?
Well, in the past, like a couple of years ago, this was like a common question, like, yeah, what is a wallet? And I was actually talking about a wallet. So yeah, another point comes up is like, a wallet's not actually really a wallet. Like,
Nah,
like a wallet's
such
not
a
actually holding your Bitcoin.
terrible word for it, to be honest.
Yeah. And there's another, oh, hey man, I'll invite you up as a speaker, Sam. Yeah, so I mean, it's interesting to maybe talk about the terminology with that. Like, is it? I don't know. But with Ledger, they sent out it's like they got hacked ages ago, and everybody that bought a Ledger and got it delivered to them, which like everybody did get it delivered to them, like the hackers found out everybody's address.
Lame.
Did you know that?
Nah, I've just decided a long time ago to stay away from Ledger, just because
Oh yeah.
their code isn't open source.
Ah.
So
All right.
what do you call it? What's the coin kite? I forgot the name of it.
Cold
Cold
card.
card. That's the one. That's the one.
And there seems to be like the new one seems to be Bitbox.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard podcasters saying that one's the rage now.
Yeah,
I
because it
think it's
looks really basic.
more simple to use or something than a cold card.
Yeah, it's got like 2 buttons. Whereas cold cards, heaps.
Cold card's ultra cyberpunk.
But and they've also got. I saw they brought out Sig Signer.
Okay.
Something. Yeah, and I mean, they've also got the Open Dime,
Which
and
is
things like
awesome.
that.
That
But
thing is that's cool.
yeah, you use it?
No, I haven't. I've never used it. I like the
Oh,
idea. Is
just
great.
fuzzy how it
Yeah,
is.
it's
Yeah, the idea of it. Physical Bitcoin like gold.
I mean, it's quite probably in who knows how long, 10, 20 years from now, we'll look back on the open dime and we'll think that's such outdated tech. They'll it'll be on some card or something by that point, I'm sure. Not like not like an actual USB stick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can get really. I guess you can possibly make your own, because yeah, as I'm guessing what you're saying is
Yeah,
it is
exactly.
open
Yeah.
source, and you can get buzzy USB sticks now. They don't even look like USB sticks.
It's the future, man.
Well, I was thinking it's it's beside the point. Like the point of it is being digital, so putting it on a physical device is like.
Yeah.
And what I'm kind of thinking now as well, like the best. Oh, did you hear what I was ranting about? Like the dude was asking about CoinJoin, but what I've heard is better than doing CoinJoin is just like opening up a couple of wallets on Tor, like the Onion network, and just putting your Bitcoin through several wallets, like at least 3, just giving you a degree of separation from that original wallet. And I've heard that's like the best.
Oh, no kidding.
And
So you're kind of making your own. It's sort of like making your own Tor network. Or no, it's like your own CoinJoin almost, but with different wallets. To be honest, I don't really understand
yeah,
CoinJoin. I haven't really bothered with it yet. I still need to get into the
I
whole
haven't done it yet either,
non-KYC
but
stuff.
I have just redone all my passwords and stuff though, and seeing there's been a bit of conversation about it in the chat. I've been thinking about it, and unfortunately, I already have mixed up my non KYC Bitcoin and KYC Bitcoin.
Oh no,
But
yeah,
yeah.
you need a
Although I
separate wallet
mean,
for each,
I
right?
did actually have a boating accident, so I lost it all, But
Oh,
yeah.
oh, what?
But no, no. But before that, before I lost all my Bitcoin, I did actually mix it up though,
Mm.
which sucks.
Is the idea that you just have a separate? The way to not mix is just to have separate wallets, right? That's the whole point, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Would that mean
Oh,
could you also have I know how you can have you can have your main wallet and then I forgot what you call it, but you have those sub wallets. It's like to do with that Xpub or something like that. I forgot.
yeah, inside the wallet.
It's kind of
Yeah,
analogous to having different accounts within your primary account. That's how I saw it. I don't haven't bothered with it yet, but I think that's how it works. Maybe you could just use two
I
different.
have heard of that.
It's the
Yeah, there's.
extend Xpub or something like that. So extended public um and it extended public key and it also works with there's also an extended private key or something like that.
Yeah, so I've heard like you can give somebody like if somebody's got a gun to your head and they want some Bitcoin, you can be like, oh yeah, here's my
That's right.
wallet.
Yeah.
They open it up, you have a little bit in there, but if you put in an extra word, there's
Yeah,
more. Yeah.
that's exactly right. Yeah. I I read I can do that with my cold card, but I haven't done it yet.
Mm.
Surprised you don't know. I'm surprised you don't know more about that.
Well, I mean, yeah, I've learned, I've listened to a lot of stuff about it, but I haven't really been too fussed with security. I mean, like originally when I got it, I had a paper wallet,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's what I mean. Like, I mixed up my original Bitcoin that I bought a long time ago. I mixed it up and I put it on an
Right.
exchange.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm in a paper wallet. It's just real old school.
Yeah. Pretty dodgy as well
Like,
because you just go to some website and generate it there.
yeah.
And yeah, I did that. I've done that once. I still have the key sitting somewhere on a piece of paper somewhere. Hopefully, I haven't chucked it out. There wasn't much on there though.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just redid all my passwords.
Yeah.
I
So
which
in other words, by that you mean you've redone all your wallets? You took completely new private keys, or
no, not everything, not all like private keys, but yeah, I did create some new wallets. I didn't use Tor though, which I'll do next time.
did you mean you just changed your passwords for your apps?
Mostly, yeah,
Right.
for my high security stuff.
Yeah, gotcha.
Like for my email address and stuff like that, and you don't save it in any device. Just remember it in my head.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. It'd be cool if you could get us. Well, I guess you probably could. I wonder if there is a similar thing to a hardware wallet which stores your internet passwords.
Yeah. I think just write it down. I mean, yeah, not just in my head. I did write it down in multiple locations,
Yeah.
kind of thing. But not in a. Last time I wrote it in a book, and the book disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's real. Like, I think I was just way too open and honest with my information and stuff. And I think somebody took my book with my passwords in it.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. And I only got around to changing the passwords last night.
Ah, right. So this was recently.
Well, no, not actually. It was quite a long time ago. So really bad that I didn't change my passwords earlier.
Yeah.
But nothing got. Well, the main thing I got was like, oh, even if you had my passwords, you still need like my cell phone because everything's like 2FA.
Yeah.
You know, you need like my Google Authenticator app. And to like log into my email address, like you need a device that's already logged in to log in.
Yeah.
So it's not. So yeah, nobody had moved my coins or anything like that. Nobody had gotten into. Nobody had even like. So somebody's taken this password book out of my room and not even tried to use it. But I did update everything, and what I saw BB in the group wrote, I thought it was real fascinating how because he was talking about like, well, yeah, the one thing I didn't get was the UTXO transactions. I mean, I understand what UTXO transactions are, but he was like small UTXO transactions, like you don't, just have a small ones in the wallet.
He tried to keep them small, eh? Like he'd have a limit to how.
I mean, yeah,
big he wanted
totally.
them to be.
You totally do. Yeah, like keep it small. Yeah, like you just put a small amount in a wallet and spend from that. You don't spend from like your main wallet because like nearly everyone that you will buy something off using, not just Bitcoin, like Tether, like if you're using USDC or something, people look at how much money you've got in your wallet.
Yeah, true that.
Because they can. They want to know, they just wanted to do some more research to find out who they're talking to.
Yeah. So a better principle would probably be are you saying you have your main wallet where it's like your savings account or your personal central bank?
Yeah, or you use Lightning, dude.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
That's where it's
Yeah,
at.
yeah.
Like anything, like unless you're like buying a house, you use Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you don't necessarily buy a yacht with Lightning.
Yeah.
But if you're buying a car, something, I'd use Lightning, sure.
Yeah, I'm yet to get into Lightning. I haven't even. Only thing I've ever bought with with Bitcoin so far has been my cold card, and I paid for a doctor visit
Oh,
once,
cool.
which is pretty funny.
Oh, cool.
Found a doctor that accepted Bitcoin.
Dope. Yeah, I got my business cards. You seen them?
No, maybe I don't remember. I know you've posted quite a few things which I've seen.
They've got I mean, like the Bitcoin business cards with a scan QR code on either side.
Oh yeah,
orange and white. They're pretty dope, man. Like one's got Wallet of Satoshi, and it just talks about like, you know, wallets and taking your Bitcoin off exchanges. And then the other side's BTC Pay Server, and it just talks about like no KYC Bitcoin and stuff. And yeah, with my details on the bottom. It's pretty fancy.
Awesome. Yeah.
You know, to try and get businesses to accept it as a payment. I've been like, last businesses I sent a couple of emails to and spoke to were POS systems, point of sale systems, you know?
Yep.
I mean, yeah, you've got a business, you know about that, eh? So just try and figure out how I'm going to, because there's so many of those different cash register systems.
Yeah.
But I believe now they're usually gone quite like kind of Android-y. So it's just a tablet, and I should just be able to like go into the settings somehow and add a button or a little iframe, and then I'll be away.
To have the option to pay with Lightning.
Yeah.
Cool.
Or Bitcoin or
yeah,
awesome. Yeah, but Lightning is where it'll be set up for you.
Yeah.
Because I've already you got a BTC Pay server, so you can do the conversion automatically.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, I haven't set it up for a business with the cash register, but I've got lots of bars and restaurants that are keen.
Yep.
That want to have it set up.
Cool. That's the way to promote Bitcoin, man, in New Zealand. Just get all the businesses, even if they just have a little sign somewhere that says we accept Bitcoin, everyone's going to start.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've got lots of stickers. Well, I've got a few stickers like, to put on the glass door or on the till, just saying Bitcoin accepted here.
That's amazing.
And yeah, so I mean, I'm mainly just trying to work on the shops that are closest to me, and then secondly, Mission Bay, just the closest beach to me kind of thing, and just try and hit up all those shops because, so many people just will go to Mission Bay for an ice cream or something. And if like Movenpick's got a little sign saying we accept Bitcoin, that'd be so dope.
That'd be amazing. Yeah, agreed. So do you James, do you spend all your time working on Bitcoin related things?
Well, maybe just learning Bitcoin related things, like I guess like 80% of my time. Yeah.
Oh, no kidding. That's awesome. I'm trying to get to that point. I've decided recently that I need to find a job in Bitcoin. It's where I want to be right now. The cheese business is awesome, but it's time for me to leave again. So I'm just yesterday I spent quite a bit of time applied at Swan Bitcoin, but
really,
yeah, but
cool.
That would be amazing. But I doubt my skills are up to par just yet. But you never know.
Oh yeah, nah, dude. I was listening to this guy today that was talking. He's working for Kaboom Racks. You heard about them?
Nah.
Kaboom Racks. Oh, they are who I would recommend if you wanted to buy a miner.
Okay. Yeah. In New Zealand.
So no, not in New Zealand. It's like international, But
Kaboom.
So he's been working. This dude's been working for Kaboom Racks, which is a reseller of of miners. So he's just been rolling around talking to miners and stuff. And so the thing that I got from that was, with these miners that are getting set up, some of them, like, for somebody, like, they need help from people that have just some kind of experience mining, like, because most people they have got no idea even what Bitcoin is or whatever. Whereas, like, if you've got experience, like you've just had a miner at home, and you've got a little bit of experience just with a home miner, that's amazing. Like, that's
That's
you.
a good idea.
Your knowledge will be so much more up there
Yeah.
in the industry, and the mining industry's, like, I'm really interested in that. Like, I guess other than trying to make some money with businesses, having them pay me to help them set it up on their cash register, is to try and suss out some energy, and do some kind of big business deal like that.
Yeah.
With if I find a geyser, or ideally what's been tripping me up lately is like OTEC, like ocean thermal energy conversion, and having some boat out in the doldrums, like by the equator, just floating around.
Yeah. I would love to. Yeah. Likewise, man. I'd love to do anything like that. You maybe have inspired me just to get, like, even just a really, really basic mining setup that's basically costing nothing and pretty much doing nothing, but just for the sake of learning how it works, so that I can say one day, yeah, I've done this and I know how it works. It's a good idea.
Yeah. Totally. Like, it doesn't have to be an ASIC.
Yeah.
It could just be a computer. Just set it up and work. You don't have to be making money. It's just the experience of doing it. And it totally is, like, so we were talking, like, we're talking about the jobs thing, getting a job in the industry. And people are talking, like, about, like, you need like 3 or 4 years experience to be like a senior person.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, we're like, sure, we're new in Bitcoin, but, like, there's people that have been in it since, for 10 years already. Like, in the job market,
Yeah.
Like, people that started mining 10 years ago, like, they're not full-time miners, but they just, they might have not made any money. They lost all their Bitcoin, but still, like, they have that.
Yeah.
Like, they know what Bitcoin is, kind of thing, and it's just, a big thing that comes to mind now is, well, not necessarily a big thing, but a thing that comes to mind, like, in that kind of thing, is to kind of, that is where, when looking for a job, that is an area where it is advised to, like, fake it until you make it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. You can totally embellish points. Like, sure, you could have just, but doing things like running a miner, like, you could run a miner this year, but you could say you were mining, like, you could say you'd be mining for longer, but even though you just started, kind of thing.
You could just say, I've been mining for 5 years, even though it was just like a little Raspberry Pi or something.
Well, you don't necessarily need to. Yeah, I mean, you could put a thing on it, because you could just say you just started, you set up a miner 5 years ago and you haven't done much with it since, kind of thing. It could be like that, if they're specifically looking for somebody that's got experience doing something. But, like, even if you just get a job and you're not good enough at it in the industry and you get fired, that's experience. Like, with the next job, you can be like, oh, look, I actually worked for this company for like a week, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then they found out I wasn't any good. But in that time, I learned. da 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 da. Like, you know,
Yeah, might as well make it.
which you would learn
Yeah.
heaps.
So is mining profitable at the moment? It's as far as my really quick look into it went. Basically, it's not profitable unless you have very cheap energy somehow.
Yeah, correct. And that's how it always is, kind of thing.
Mm,
Really,
yeah.
like, you know,
I mean,
unless you're like diverting it as well, like unless you're using it to like heat your house.
yes.
But I was using it to heat my house and I turned it off. Like I found it's cheaper to just heat my house with
Yeah.
just put a heater in my room instead of heating, like, you know, I was heating up the whole under of the house with my S9 miner.
Okay.
But the amount that it put up my power bill compared to how much Bitcoin I was making, it's
Is that
it's
Bitcoin?
better just
Like, let's say Bitcoin goes up 100, 100 times. Um, would it be profitable if you think in those terms?
oh yeah, but that's the whole thing, kind of around why miners don't lose money, kind of
Right.
thing, is because of that time preference thing. But I could just be buying Bitcoin every month instead of paying that bloody power bill.
Yeah. But you do get, it's a good way to get non KYC Bitcoin, isn't it?
Yeah, but I could get way more Bitcoin if I just spent that money on Binance,
Yeah,
on
buying it
Bitcoin.
direct.
Yeah. And, like, you know, the amount of money that I've wasted on power, that I've, you know, kind of like, yeah, I was like, oh, it's all cool. It's good for the network. I don't mind if I'm losing a bit of money, kind of thing. It's DCA, like, it's forced DCA. Like, yeah, yeah. But then really just looking at it, I mean, mainly with the price of Bitcoin kind of going down, like, doesn't help, like, kind of thing. It's just like, this has been such a
I'm
waste
not
of
sure if
money.
it really, I'm not sure whether that argument of it's good for the network, whether that holds that much water, because if my understanding is correct, when you, if all the miners, if you lose too many miners in the world, um, that's gonna, it's gonna drive up the, is that gonna drive up the incentive for smaller people to mine? It's gonna change the difficulty, isn't it?
Yes.
So
Yeah, lower the difficulty. Like, I mean, that's what happened. Like, yeah, this is a buzzy thing that tripped me out, been brought up lately. Is Bitcoin survived an attack of half of its network being taken offline, relocated to a different jurisdiction, and started up. And Bitcoin didn't skip a beat, bro. You know, it was there, just humming away, no problems. You know,
yeah,
the network survived half of it being taken away,
yeah,
shut down.
it's really interesting. Eh? Like there's even a sense in which Bitcoin is more than, it's actually a lot more than just the internet. It's what's the word? It's beyond the internet, because if the internet completely died, you'd still have people with the blockchain on their hard drives, and you could wait hypothetically, 10 years before the internet came back on, and you could just start it up exactly where it was.
Mm.
So it still survives. It survives without the internet. It does limit its ability for a time. But then the incentive, like if Bitcoin, the bigger Bitcoin gets, the greater the incentive for the world to have a robust internet system as well. So the incentives, the incentives to Bitcoin are that's the most fascinating thing I find.
G'day, last day.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah,
Just
good, bro.
just fiat mining at the moment for another couple minutes, and then I'm heading home. You know, one thing when I read the white paper recently again, and what I was thinking about is, you know, the transactions that are in each of the blocks, and some blocks are bigger than others. I think about like the Bitcoin that I hold as being like transactional. I mean, they're like ledgers, right? I mean, each transaction is a ledger.
Mm.
But to me, they're like um, they're like avenues of transactions that because what you hold in that transaction, you know, in that Bitcoin that you hold has all of the hash from the previous transactions. It in that within that Bitcoin. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's got
So
the hash header kind of thing. Sort
yeah.
of.
So what I'm thinking is, I mean, I don't know because I haven't looked into it, but I may hold Bitcoin that has been around for, you know, 10 years. I don't know. Or it might be new. But what I was thinking about is when I take that Bitcoin off an exchange and I hold it in my in cold storage, I plan on spending that hopefully in another decade. And so to me, I'm thinking about it in terms of the fact that that channel of transactions is now taken out of the network, if that makes sense. So uh, those I'm looking at it a different way, I guess. So that
Because
the channels that are available on the network are going to be getting more limited as time goes on. And then, of course, we have the halving in another 2 years where we get 3.25 every 10 minutes. Yeah, I hadn't thought about Bitcoin in terms of it being a a, a ledger of time, but also of transactions. So when I pull off that Bitcoin um, off of the network, it's basically pulling all of the transactions that are part of that chain off of it as well. Does that make sense?
For 10 years.
Yeah, because you're talking about being stationary kind of thing, not like not moving.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously still on the network and it's all there, but I'm just saying that the the ability for my Bitcoin to be and the hash that's connected with it, in order for that to be used as a channel for the distribution of wealth is off of the table until I decide to bring it back on. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Because
it makes me think of a
yeah,
few things. Yeah.
and there's one thing I think I mentioned the other day about my annoyance with the local pleb meetup that we have, where they don't really talk about just basic fundamentals of Bitcoin in terms of um, thinking of when you do take Bitcoin off of the exchange, it's really important that you keep your transactions to a minimum. You know, that you don't go like moving, you know, half a Bitcoin or because in the future, when the price of Bitcoin goes to whatever it's going to be, you're going to have a hard time with using that Bitcoin for transactions because if you go into it's like if I go into a dairy and I want to buy a pack of gum and all I've got is $100 bill, I'll bring that out and show them that $100 bill, and so they know how much I've got. And that's the same thing with Bitcoin. So I'm you know, a lot of people don't talk about this enough, but you really should.
Oh, we just were. Yeah, carry on,
Oh, were
please.
you? Okay, because you know, it's something that I don't think that there's enough spoken about in terms of you need to, you know, vary your transaction amounts, and yeah, it's kind of interesting in that respect, but yeah. So,
Yeah, I think a point that comes up is old mate in our Telegram group was talking about setting up his wallets, like his anonymous wallets, with 5 million to 10 million stats in each wallet, thinking that, you know, that's his thoughts. That's in a good amount for the future, which kind of rings a bell with what you're talking about. You know,
yeah,
with your $100 bill.
yeah,
Kind of
because
thing. Like, oh yeah.
so I mean, like I've run my own node, and I have this thing called a Bitcoin machine, which basically um, allows me to use it to run the Bitcoin node and a Lightning node as well. And it's also it runs with Umbrel, so I can use it as my own server if I want. They have other applications that aren't related to Bitcoin, but I was thinking about that in terms of I've got it connected with Sparrow, with the Sparrow wallet, and it's really in there that you can really see, you know, the breakdown of your transactions that you've done, and it's that's really cool, and it's so much better than like Ledger in terms of you being able to see the actual the Bitcoin transactions, and you can actually then go in there and go into each of those transactions and you know, send them. So I'm thinking because you know, if the price does you know, move up, it may be a need where you have to actually break up some of those transactions, if that makes sense.
But like old transactions break it.
Yeah, yeah. So that would be maybe like creating a new wallet, um, getting a new cold storage unit, you know?
So, hey guys, how you doing this evening?
Hey,
Yeah,
man.
g'day, mate.
All right. So this is something I definitely want to learn more about, and really didn't come across my radar until this year. So, and I hear people talk about coin control, and
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
kind of the way I understand it, right? Is that you have UTXOs that are broken up to in small enough amounts, like your $100 bill analogy, to where you can do a transaction and you're not revealing, you know, your whole stash.
Yeah,
Um, and then isn't there also a piece like the amount of space it takes up on the block? Because it's like because you're sending the money, but then you're receiving back the change.
exactly.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
so I
this.
mean,
So are you able to control your UTXOs and like label them and all that stuff in Sparrow? Like I'm not running a node yet because I don't really transact much in Bitcoin. I mostly just hold and if I the few times I have like bought things with Bitcoin, like from, you know, a Bitcoin hat guy or some other, you know, people that I've met through Twitter that accept Bitcoin, I usually just use Lightning, you know, Strike. I buy it, you know, just use the Bitcoin rails to transfer. I'm not actually transacting it out of my wallet.
so on my node, I I'm not. I mean, you've got your the addresses on there. I don't know um, whether you can give them a name. I haven't gone down that road yet, but I do know that I was just saying before that it may be you may have to actually set up a whole other wallet, and I'm talking about if you have done larger transactions, you may need to set up a separate wallet and with a new like device, because the problem will come in is that your the transactions that you've done are still part of that that ledger. So what you need to do is try and get it to where it's not connected to you. That's my concern that I'm in right now, is thinking, okay, even if I do send these to, maybe I make another wallet, they still might see that that's linked to me, if that makes sense. So I'm trying to, my goal is to try and make these, break them up into separate ones. The other thing though is you do actually pay more in fees, because of if you have lots of smaller transactions broken up in your wallet, you actually do pay higher fees. But I'm willing to take those on board.
Right, yeah. So if you went to buy something that, was $1 million and you had a bunch of $100 transactions, yeah, you get crushed.
Yeah. Like I did a
Hey, see you guys
transaction.
later.
All right,
See
man.
you around.
Cheers.
James, James, it'd be good to you're up northern New Zealand, aren't you? Be good to catch up sometime.
Yeah, man. I'll see you on Saturday, no?
Is that in person? Is it? I'm not
Yeah.
sure I can make it Saturday, but it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
All right.
One
Catch you,
Saturday.
man.
Sweet dude.
Catch it.
Catch you
See
soon.
you.
Ciao.
Yeah, I think what your TX, not TX, TC, who I listen to pretty much daily on Swan, the Bitcoin Cafe in the mornings. He's spoken about your transaction, management of transactions. So I think it is going to become more and more important in the future.
Yeah, and that's exactly who I listen to TC quite often as well. Have been for a long time, and he really knows his stuff. And and like I said, I wanted to. I was just about to build a node, and then all the stuff got a lot more expensive all of a sudden. And then I'm kind of like, well, I'm just in an accumulation phase right now. I'm not really doing much with my Bitcoin other than just trying to stack as much as I can while we're down here in the 20Ks. But
I think that's what we're all doing.
Yeah, and at some point though, I need to educate myself about these other pieces, because that's a large part of it.
Yeah, it is. And I have to be honest, I kind of I kind of jumped headfirst into this, and now, being that we're in this somewhat of a bear market, I'm starting to do some more homework in terms of looking at doing a multi-sig. And when you, like with BTC sessions videos, they're very easy to follow in terms of doing that. And then, getting to the point where, like, I'm lucky because I live in Austin, so Unchained Capital, their headquarters are here in town. So as far as setting up a multi-sig vault with them, that's easy to do. But yeah, running a node is probably the next thing you should do. I know the Raspberry Pis have gotten crazy. But my next thing, of course, after that is trying to run a Lightning node. Will be the next thing. But I do know from listening to some other people talk about it, you do have to manage it. It's not something where you can just sort of disappear for a couple of weeks and just leave it, because you do need to sort of manage the transactions on it.
Yeah, the Lightning node, it's pretty fascinating, right? Because it's just a pleb built payment rail. I mean, the capital that's in Lightning is people's, plebs' money. It's pretty cool when you think
Yeah, it
about
is.
it.
It's awesome.
And I definitely want to participate in that. I just everything in due time. And
Have you heard
I'm
about
one of those
it?
people too. I like to really research before I get into it. So still got more learning to do. Everything in this space has been an invaluable education and fascinating.
Bro, Blixit wallet. Have you heard of that?
What's it called?
Flexa?
BLIXT.
No.
BLIXT. It's a Lightning node wallet. I mean, it's still like experimental. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, I'm just learning about it, new to it.
Right on.
But, yeah, it's an interesting new development that's just out.
That's cool. And where are they based out of?
I don't know. Like Telegram, the metaverse.
Well, that's the interesting thing is, where are these things based out of, and which jurisdictions are they allowed? I mean, it's crazy to me that Strike is not available in
Yeah,
most countries, I guess. And then,
exactly.
Yeah,
Not in
well,
New
like,
Zealand.
that's what I said the other day. I said that the
and
other
then,
day, didn't I?
yeah, and then even within the United States, New York has outlawed it, which that blows me away. But here we are.
Yeah, those. Yeah, I'm glad I don't live in New York.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm in Florida, so Texas,
Oh, that's
Florida.
cool.
That's where life just happens.
Yeah, exactly.
We
Yeah.
never really shut down. In the beginning of the pandemic, I was just as like kind of scared and uneducated as anybody, and did wanted to do my part to be safe and keep people safe, and then all that shit just falls apart. It's like I have a sister who only just recently, as of like 2 months ago, she lives in Seattle, Washington, so they're crazy lockdown and very liberal, democratic city, and they were still had never been to a grocery store since the pandemic. Had a daughter
Wow.
January 2020 who had never been inside of a store,
Bro,
and they
sorry.
finally. And I was talking to my mom about it, and I was like, the best thing that could happen to them is they could all get COVID and get the fuck over it. And finally, they did. They all three of them, mom, dad, kid, all got COVID. And then, like, 2 weeks after they recovered, they
They
were
didn't
like on
die.
a plane back to the East Coast to visit family. I'm like, they just locked themselves down for so long. Here I am in Florida going, to hockey games. I went and saw Eric Clapton. I've been to Disney World and Universal Studios. I've been living life. It's like, it's hard not to laugh at the people that are just so scared.
Yeah. Or going for a swim in the ocean with a face nappy on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was at the beach this weekend and saw people walking on the beach wearing a face mask. Not many, like one or two, and boy, they do stand out.
We got people that have come back to wearing masks now because of, I don't know why, monkeypox or whatever it is, but they're back to wearing those again. And yeah, I work in retail, so we kind of get to see it all, but
The
it is a bit
funniest
crazy.
the funniest to me is when you're in a place where masks are optional and you see somebody wearing a mask, but they don't have it over their nose. And it's like like wear it or
My
don't,
wife,
you know?
my wife calls them chin diapers.
Yeah, chin diapers with your pecker hanging out. Like when your nose is hanging out, it's like hanging your pecker out the top of your underwear or something. Like it just, I don't know. You know, like either you think the thing works or you don't. So either wear it properly or don't wear it at all. But if you're in a place where it's optional to wear a mask and you've got it over your nose or don't have it over your nose, like comedy.
Now, I've had it twice. I've had COVID twice. The first time I had the Wuhan version, which was the worst. That was really bad. I almost went to hospital. But I had the Omicron in late January, and it was bad. But yeah, I'm like, fuck it. I'm not dealing with wearing masks anymore. I've already had it twice, so then it's not going to get any worse than it was before.
Yeah,
Um,
we finally just got it last month. My wife and I and my son, all three of us got it. All like 1 week apart. It was like kid got it, wife got it, and I thought maybe I dodged it. And whew, I mean, I was sick. It was, I didn't miss any work. I work from home, um, but I still was able to like just do my job and rest in between. But I was sick. I mean, I was pretty fucking sick. And I'm still have like a pretty bad cough and some fallout from it. But you know, Jesus Christ, live your life, man. It's just a fucking cold.
how's James? How's the homelessness back home? Sam, if you haven't already noticed, we've both got different accents.
Mm.
So just wanted to find out how things are with the homeless people and back home.
Well, like Labour's in government, so like social welfare has been like a huge thing, with people living in cars and stuff. So I've been trying with that, but so I don't think it's too bad. I think people that want homes can get homes at the moment, especially because I think a lot of people are leaving New Zealand. Like there's not much, like housing shortages aren't so bad anymore. Like rents are actually dropping at the moment, but I mean, yeah, there's still homeless people. Yeah, there are still people in their cars that like haven't reached out for help to community organisations. Like, yeah, there's actually the other month there was a well-off lady that was found dead in her car, and she had been there for like over a month or something. Like people in the community had noticed her and contacted people, and supposedly she had just like her brother had kicked her out of their family home, like a 60-year-old 80-year-old lady or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really sad. Like they just had a disagreement or something and told her to get out. And yes, I see people living in their cars still, and it's winter time, so
Yeah, that's crazy because you guys have had a pretty bad winter this year.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a guy here called Mike Alfred. He's um, the ex hedge fund guy, stock. He's kind of a bit of a VC, and he's involved in Bitcoin mining and such. I heard him talking on a Spaces, and he was mentioning that there were two people, and he knew their names. They were in their 70s, and they were living under a turnpike in San Francisco. And he was like a cancer patient, who was still on chemotherapy, and they were living in their car underneath a turnpike in San Francisco, which is unbelievable. I mean, where I work, we have a lot of homeless people around because they have a camp in the
Yeah, I don't think it's
in the
nothing
bush
like
behind us.
America.
What's that?
I don't think it's nothing like America and New Zealand. Like the homelessness I've seen over there has shocked me so bad.
Yeah,
It's
well, it still
ridiculous.
shocks me, man. I mean, it's like, so the other day I was coming to work and this guy was I just got to work and there was a guy sitting on a bench out the front of the store, and there was a car on the other side of him, and the bonnet was up and the doors were open, and he was just sitting there with his pants, like you could see his ass. They were basically, his pants were just like falling off him, and he was sitting there. So I was like, oh fuck, I'm not going in the front door. So I went through the side door, and this is before the store opened, and turned out that wasn't his car. It was somebody else's. I don't know if it was stolen or something, but he then came into the store, and it's like when we opened, he's holding his pants up, and his ass was showing the whole time, and got customers in there, and it was it's just sort of mind blowing, really. But yeah, there's the camp behind us. There's probably maybe 20 or 30 people who are living there, and some of them have got like transportation, like they have bicycles, and some of them have actually stolen shopping carts, and they take the wheels off the carts, and then create their own little, like, I guess, like carts that they can wheel around and push their stuff. But one of the customers, who's a regular of ours, came in the store, and she was pretty upset. She had her son with her, her little boy, and she was saying how disgusted she was with the way things were. And she's like, yeah, they're out the side of the building showering right now. So they've gotten rid of one of those keys for like fire hose, and we have one coming out of the side of the building. And they turned the hose on, and there was a bunch of them showering out the side of the building, which I'm sure didn't look good for customers coming in. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. They're everywhere. How is it in? Are you in Miami, Sam?
I'm in the suburbs of Tampa, and I'm not in the city. So, you see panhandlers at some of the intersections and whatnot, but there aren't any large camps because there's just not enough going on. I think if you were homeless to try and scrounge together a living. So where I'm at, I'm kind of removed from that a little bit, but I imagine in downtown Tampa there are some camps and whatnot. I just haven't really seen it.
One thing I've got a Ring. I've got an alarm system. That I think it's Amazon that created it. So I have all these cameras on at my house, and there's also we're also part of a network because we pay a subscription to it, so we get reports on a weekly basis. But we also get, like, people that live in the neighborhood that are also part of the Ring network will post stuff and video clips and stuff just to let people know, hey, have you seen this? And I'm not kidding you, the last month things have just completely blown up. There's so much cars being broken into, catalytic converters. That was the one that just came through this morning. Some guy came out, his wife's vehicle. They took a catalytic converter. But there's a lot of like homeless people around here that are looking for. They just go shopping in the vehicles and looking for stuff, and if they see bags or anything in there, they they probably won't break the glass, but they're
I think what's a bit more relevant to kind of what you're asking is the situation in New Zealand with the economical kind of like crime climate or whatever. Is there are so many shops with boarded up windows. Like the amount of robberies that are happening at the moment, like alcohol, like
actually, I saw one. My wife showed me. It was at Queen Street. There was a smash and grab on Queen Street.
Yep, everywhere. All the jewelry shops getting robbed. Like there isn't an alcohol shop that doesn't have boarded up windows. It's like it's like everyone's playing Grand Theft Auto or something like that. It's become real bad. I think a huge catalyst around it is a lot of people from Australia, like gang members from Australia, have been sent to New Zealand, like old Kiwis that have been deported back home. The gun violence over here is it's just like we've got Australian gangs over here now. They've just got guns and they're just so much more raucous with shooting each other and things like that. Sometimes, there was a gang shooting down the road the other day outside a gang house, which is crazy. I mean, normal for New Zealand, but normal for America, but for New Zealand, it's crazy. It's nuts.
Yeah, I have noticed from my wife follows New Zealand news a lot more than I do, and she was saying that the gun violence in New Zealand has certainly has gotten a lot worse in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
What are the gun laws there? Like, what are you allowed to possess handguns in New Zealand?
Nope, definitely not. Yeah, like we don't see guns. Like our police have tasers. They're not like, they don't carry guns. They're not supposed to, but there's like senior police that do carry guns. And civilians, we had like a bit of a massacre a while ago. Like some dude from Australia came over and shot lots of people in a church. And since then, like, the gun laws got jacked up massively. The restrictions, like no automatic weapons at all allowed in New Zealand, like banned.
My dad had lived outside of Gisborne up in the hills, and he had a 202, but for him to get a license for it, they had to do a what do you call it? A check on like a mental, check on him. So he had to like go and be interviewed just to see if he had he was in the right state of mind to be able to, carry one.
And then other people.
What's that?
And 3 other people as well. Like you have to have like 3 other references that are interviewed to see if you're in the right state of mind to be, in possession of a weapon.
Yeah, exactly. And then he had to get a locked case, or it was actually like he had to have like a locked cupboard. And then they had somebody from the government, an official, come out to the property to see where he was holding the firearm. And the dad said the guy that was that came out to the house was an ex-police officer who did the who checked on everything. So, and of course they had to do a background check on him as well. But yeah, that was
your gun safe check is done like every year too. Like somebody will come every year to check where your guns are kept.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's pretty crazy.
And as for handguns, they can only be at a gun club. So you have to leave them at the gun club, and that's the only place where you can use them. I believe you can't take them out of the gun club.
I wonder how the gangs are getting hold of them.
Same way they get a hold of anything, you know, black market. I mean, you know, same way they get cocaine and methamphetamines, and you know, I mean,
of American officials.
Yeah, well, and if there's profit to be made, people are going to find a way, and you know, gun violence in the United States is completely out of control. So what's the solution? I think America definitely has a mental health problem, first and foremost, which makes the guns even worse. But then, you know, if you look at a place like New Zealand where guns are completely outlawed, it's virtually impossible to like have one, or definitely can't carry one for protection, you know, but yet the criminals still have them. So, you know, I don't know what the solution is. You know, it's complicated.
I mean, the thing is, though, I mean, the thing for me, though, is you've got like criminals here. Typically, they use weapons as defense. I mean, not all the time, of course, but I just don't. I'm not sure that. I mean, they are perpetrated violence on on just regular citizens, but I do see a lot of gang violence is on other gangs or on other criminals. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. So,
but I mean, that's also a bit of a sweeping statement. I can't really say that.
Yeah, it is for sure. But you know, a lot of the gun violence is kind of criminal on criminal.
Yeah.
But then you've got these fucking lunatic teenagers that shoot up schools. You know, like that. That's where I'm talking about the mental health issue. I mean, what fucking 18-year-old young man with his whole life in front of him thinks that the best use of his life is to go shoot up a bunch of 10-year-olds in an elementary school? Like, what a fucking loser.
I know. So you're talking about the one in Texas? Are you talking about
Texas,
that one?
Yeah, Texas. And then, you know, Parkland is back in the news because of Alex Jones, and then even that was Sandy Hook, and then
Sandy Hook.
And then Parkland was the so there's really three big cases all in the news right now. And that's the other thing about the news is like that's all you see in the American news right now. Like if I go to Google News and just search US news, I'd say 2/3 of the stories are about guns and gun violence. You know, how many people were shot in Chicago this weekend? How many people were shot in Milwaukee this weekend? Like, you know, just every other article, it seems, is about gun violence. So that's the agenda.
I don't actually. I was hooked into the news until um, really just after until I got into Bitcoin, which was like 2.5 years ago, and then I realized that all of that stuff was most of it was propaganda. They're just trying to push a narrative and do what we call in New Zealand social conditioning. So
Right, and I, but it also comes back to that, like, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. Like, it's good to kind of see what the narrative is over there,
oh yeah,
because they definitely have a narrative, and it's pretty obvious when you step away from it and you're not just like wrapped up in it emotionally. When you're looking at it from a high level, on a low time frame, then the patterns become clear. It's like they're doing everything they can to gaslight us about the economy and everything to gaslight us about gun control. And, the agenda is definitely set by the media. There's no question about it.
so there's a gang in New Zealand called the Mongrel Mob, and these guys are that they would give the gangs in the US a run for their money. Um, I've known a couple of them in my life, and these guys are really fucking hardcore.
Shit,
Hey James,
all of those
yeah,
guys are, like, it really doesn't matter whether you look at the Mexican gangs, the American gangs,
yeah.
all those guys are fucking hardcore, dude. They're literally willing to die for, like, I don't know, whatever it is that whatever it is they're about. I don't even know what they're about, but they're willing to die for it. So kind of hard to combat that.
The Maoris are a warrior race, though.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah, like the guys that you see doing the dance, sticking out their tongue and
Yeah, the
shit.
haka.
Fucking hell
Yeah, the
yeah.
haka. Hey, James, I always tell people when if they've seen like Once Were Warriors, and they'll go, "Oh, is that the way it is in New Zealand?" And I go, "Yeah, pretty much." I mean, it depends on where you are, but I remember, I was in my teens in the 1980s, and it was that way at the going to the bars and in Mangere at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam, you should check out some of the Google the Mongrel Mob and see some of these guys. They have like full tattoos, kind of like MS-13, but they'll have what they call te moko, which is uh, their heritage, their cultural tattoos. It's pretty awesome.
I'm actually I am familiar. I just couldn't remember the term, but yeah, it's different culture, that I mean, honestly, those people have a lot to be pissed about, I would think. It's just kind of like the Native Americans in the United States.
Well, yeah, one thing we did in New Zealand, which kind of helped out a little bit, was we did a thing called reparations, which is the Treaty of Waitangi, and they were able to get back some money and some of their lands and apology from the government, because we had our own, like, we had the Indian Wars here, and in New Zealand we had the Maori Wars, but it's kind of a similar thing where they just massacred a whole bunch of people and took their lands.
Yeah, and the United States are like, yeah, we'll let you open a casino. How about that? You guys can open a casino and split the money. I don't know. It's kind of
Yeah,
weird.
I don't know I don't think the Maoris have casinos in New Zealand. I'm not sure.
No, and especially like here in Florida, like the Seminole Hard Rock Cafe is right down the road from me, and You know, so it's the Seminole tribe gets the proceeds, but you know, it's still Hard Rock Casino. It, you know, the whole thing.
You muted yourself.
Yeah, we lost you.
Yeah, sorry, I was wearing a headset and it died. It got a little wet last night in the rain. I'm not sure if it's gonna recharge, but yeah, I might drop off here in just a minute, guys. But I'm gonna listen for a few more minutes. Might chime in. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually should go. My wife's going to be home and she's going to be wondering why I haven't cooked dinner. Hey, James, this is awesome. We need to get some more of your local Kiwis on. I don't know whether I mentioned, but my wife is pretty good friends with Lord Fitzitua, which
Oh
is
yeah,
pretty.
yeah.
Yeah. She's pretty good friends with him. They've hit it off pretty well on. It's kind of crazy. Because my wife's from North Carolina, but we lived in Zealand for. We moved back there and lived there for 10 years. So she's kind of taken on a bit of that Kiwi attitude about life. But yeah, she's become good friends with Lord, and so they've been discussing about us setting up our node and having it linked um, with the Lightning nodes from Tonga that are going to be launching. Well, I think they already are launched, but yeah, it'd be cool if we could get him on and see if we can try and get some more people into the space.
Yeah, because he's got a bit more of a following, eh?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he's a big following. Hey, what? I lived in North Carolina for more of my life than anywhere else. Where's your wife from?
She was born in Raleigh.
Oh, no shit. Yeah. All right. So I went to, we moved to Chapel Hill when I was a teenager, and then I lived in Greensboro for a long time. My son's actually in college at NC State right now in Raleigh.
Oh shit, that's cool. Well, she'll be happy because her dad went to NC State, and so she hate whatever the other school is. What's the other school?
Tar Heels, UNC Chapel Hill. Yeah, I'm sure she does.
She hates them. She's like, oh no, fuck them. Wasn't that the school that Jordan went to? He was a Tar Heel, wasn't he?
Yeah, Jordan for sure. Yeah, and
Yeah.
no, it's funny because we're kind of a house divided. Like my son grew up kind of a Carolina fan, and then went to NC State, and he had some mixed emotions about that, but he's all about NC State now. So, but that's your alma mater, so got to go for it.
That's cool. All right, you guys. Hey, good talking to you, Sam. I just hit follow, man. Good to have a good chat with you, man.
Yeah, likewise. I always really enjoy hearing international perspective on things, and it was nice. It was a small group. Some of these big groups get a little, it's
rowdy.
kind of pissing contests, and it's nice to speak uncandidly, and
Yeah. Well, I actually reached out to the guys down at home and got hold of James because I really am interested in hearing like the Kiwi perspective on Bitcoin and also what's happening in the country economically as well and that kind of thing. I think it's important. Not only for me, but everybody to see what's happening in other countries as well. So yeah, thanks again, James.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, bro. Catch you guys later.
All right, cheers, mate.
Ciao.
Later.